Hi everyone and welcome back to your weekly installment of the Top 10. These are the hottest selling cards in Magic the Gathering this week from March 8th to the 15th of 2025. And today's video holds some shocking results, so stay tuned. We have a lot to cover in today's video. Hey guys, thanks again for stopping by the channel this week for a weekly installment of the Top 10. A reminder before we start today's video that if you're shopping for any of these cards, you can support my channel just by using my TCG Player affiliate link found in the description of all of my videos. Thanks again for using it, it helps a lot. Now let's dive into the number 10 card this week. That's Catcher Mo's The New Dawn. Now of course he has some mega fans already being built into Commander from the AEtherdrift block. This is one of those cards that's holding a high value and a lot of players are trying to build with it. Now it takes the number 10 spot with 563 sales or $23,000. This is massive money moving with this card, and of course there's a lot of reasons why players would want to build with this card and try to utilize it. Now let's take a closer look at what we're looking for in the value of the card. We can see the average price was drifting down quite a bit since its pre-order days, but not nearly as much as players thought it would drop. It does have a lot of players interested. That minus 25 is not a be-all end-all. The fact it's only a 3 casting cost card, it's a legendary god creature with menace, lifelink, and indestructible. It's not hard to get cards into that discard pile, so guys, exiled cards aren't going to stop this boy. Now our next card is the Bleachbone Verge from AEtherdrift as well, coming in at $7.99 with a market average of $7.90. Now when we're looking at these cards, especially the Verge lands, let's pay attention to what they are going to do, not what they're doing right now. Now this card with 612 sales, well that's only $4,800 of sales action, sure, but a lot of players in the last couple of weeks have been buying this card, so the fact this is even in the top 10 still gives you pause to wonder what's going to happen with these cards. They're all sub $10 right now, but a lot of sales are still happening, and we know not a lot of AEtherdrift is being opened now, so where is that going to leave this card into the future? And with the cards from Duskmourn being the second parts of these Verge lands, well, there's a lot to consider. Now, the Bleachbone Verge, when we take a closer look, and yes, I still hate the fact that we got our little minion there, but you get to add 1 black to your mana pool. You get to add 1 white, but you can only do that if you control a plains or a swamp. That's not hard to do in today's standard, so keep an eye on this in Commander. Now our next card is the Wastewood Verge, and it's the same story repeating over again. This was here last week from AEtherdrift. It has $7.43 on average, locking in the number 8 spot with 672 sales or $4,992.96. Now, many of these cards, I have to be honest, they're sold out locally. I've looked around, we can't really find them, and a lot of the Verge lands are not being restocked. Now this makes me believe that in the future, not now, but about 90 days from now, we're going to see these things start to climb. Anyone paying attention to what happened with the Murder at Karlov Manor lands, the Surveil lands, they're like into the $20 range for things like Undercity Sewer, so you got to be aware of what's going on, and those cards are still selling 30, 40 to 150 copies a week. It's insane to think the value is there. Now the Wastewood Verge, when we take a closer look at this one, of course, it's going to tap for green mana, or it can add a black mana, but only if you control the swamp or forest. I love the makeup of these lands. I think they're going to be underrated for a little while. Don't forget to pick them up if they get a little bit cheaper. Even if you don't want them, there may be a chance to speculate later on. Now our next card is Bloodghast, again from AEtherdrift, although this has been reprinted many times. It takes the number 7 spot with 653 sales or $548.52. It's under $1 a card. Now, I remember this card from days of old. I think it was like Zendikar when I saw this thing, and it was pretty amazing. 2 black for a 2/1. This creature can't block. This creature has haste as long as an opponent has 10 or less life, which makes it pretty easy to get going effectively. Now, you can see here on the pre-order, it was around the $5 to $6 mark. It's continued to lose ground every single week. Even now, it's minus 41 cents. I know, but a lot of players are still using the card. It doesn't have to be expensive to be valuable to players. And the artwork, by the way, not the best, but definitely not the worst. Now, the landfall ability at the end, whenever a land you control enters this turn, you may return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Amazing. Let's go ahead now and take a look at our next card, which is Universal Automaton, and that is from Modern Horizons. This card's only 97 cents, but it's risen basically 100% in the last month. 709 sales, or $687.73, has the, automaton gaining some notoriety. It's a changeling, of course, which means it acts as a dragon, which means that Mox Jasper is going to love this card, and because it's a 1 casting cost, it's going to be insane to put this thing out and have Mox Jasper go off on it. Now, the fact it's only 97 cents seems like nothing, but a lot of players speculated on this card and have already seen massive gains, especially if you're just doing some trade-in value with your store and they take 20 or 30 copies thinking that's not a big deal, but you just gained, 20, 30 bucks in trade-in value over the course of a week and a half. It's insane. Now, this card getting reprinted seems unlikely in the near future unless it ends up in a commander deck, possibly. I don't see Wizards in a rush to rejig this shapeshifter, so it's just interesting to see where it'll go in the future. Our next card is Malevolent Rumble, and that's Modern Horizons as well. Takes the number 5 spot, 781 sales, or $851.29 to lock in the number 5 position. Now, this one, again, has seen a little bit of a gain recently, but it's kind of petering out. We saw a couple of weeks ago, it was going up like, 10 cents, 20 cents, and right now it hasn't seen those gains. It's actually kind of backtracking a bit, but that doesn't make this card any less useful than it was before. It just means the market's kind of found its median and a lot of players aren't buying any more copies, and speculation on this card has died down. Now let's take a closer look at this card. Let's understand why people like it. Now, of course, 1 green, 1 other, simple to cast. I always like the artwork. I've talked about that. Good old Drazi things in the background, looks all scary. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You can put a permanent card from among them into your hand, put the rest at the bottom of your graveyard, and of course, create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi that can be sacrificed. I love this card, lots of uses. Now, our next one here is the Heir Apparent. Again, this is from Foundation, still hanging in there. Takes the number 4 slot this week, and as you guys can see, 790 sales at number 4 with $3,547.10. The Heir Apparent, the deck it builds, I've seen this deck now several times, and I've got to be honest, it's an expensive deck to put together when you see how many copies people are trying to cram into these things, and the fact that every store I checked is sold out means you basically have to go onto websites like TCG Player and some of the bigger LGSs to even find copies of this card. Here in Canada, like $7, $8 seems insane for this common. Now, the Heir Apparent, of course, is a 1 white, 1 other Rabbit Noble. The fact it's a 2/2, but when you put it into play, it starts triggering itself is an amazing ability, especially if you can find a way to get some extra attack phases in there with some haste. Keep it in mind. Now our next card. All right, guys, this is the Willow Rush Verge. You can see a lot of Verge going on right now. They're converging in value. This again is from Aetherdrift, locking into the number 3 position this week with 993 sales. That means we have a total value of $4,438.71. And like I stated earlier in the video, you just can't find copies of these locally anymore. There was so little of Aetherdrift opened up that players either held on to the cards, recognizing the value, or they're just not being opened at all, and the boxes are sitting on shelves at this point, especially for the Play Booster boxes. Collector boxes packs aren't really selling, but a lot of boxes sold initially, so who knows how that will turn out in the next little while. But even then, this card is still losing value, losing over $1 in the last month. A lot of players will be salivating at the chance to pick these up if they hit the $5 level. Now, the Willow Rush Verge, remember, this is kind of like a tropical island, right, from Revised, the good old dual lands. This thing taps for 1 blue, but it can tap for a green to activate only if you control a forest or an island. You got to have those kind of lands that are recognized as multis, but it's still a phenomenal card. I can see real Commander play with these later, guys. Pay attention. All right, the next one, of course, is the River Pyre Verge, and that one, again, is from Aetherdrift. It's holding in there at $6 on average, or a market price of $5.92. Takes the number 2 slot with 1,123 sales, or $6,738. Guys, you may have noticed something in this week's video. You may not have, but we'll get to that at the end. If you've made it this far, just go a little bit further with me. We'll do a little wrap up here at the end of this video, talking about what's going on in the marketplace right now. With a card like this, though, with the Riverpire Verge, all the Verge lands from Duskmourn, as well as Aetherdrift, there is a good mana base, so I'm not expecting anything crazy, by the way, from Dragons of Tarkir, just 1 or 2 specialty lands. Keep that in mind. I mean, we could see some great commander deck builds, but the Verge lands, chances of being reprinted, wouldn't happen for about 4 years. Keep that in mind, okay, guys? Which means Triomes may be coming around. Now, the Riverpire Verge. The artwork on this one, I kind of like this one, okay? This one's got a little more. I don't like loot being there, but I like the rest of the background, okay? The fact it taps for a red or a blue if you control a mountain or an island gives a little bit of a nice oomph with cards like this. Gives that volcanic island feel, which I think is probably what they were going for. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the #1 card. This is Sunbillow Verge. You guys may have noticed at this point that all the cards I'm sharing with you are, of course, Aetherdrift cards, and this one takes the #1 spot with 1,540 sales, or $8,470. Now, with all these Verge lands and the versatility, now we're not seeing any of the Duskmourn ones, which is kind of surprising when we're seeing this many be bought, but I may expect to see them in the next little while, next week or two before Tarkir Dragons comes out, because we don't know how they're going to be played out yet. We don't know what we're expecting. As soon as the spoilers start to drop, you're going to see a surge in these sales for these lands. So if you can get them a little bit cheaper at your local store, a little bit of trade in action, you may want to pay attention to that. Now, this type of Verge, just like the old days when we had things like Plateau, these ones here, like 1 white, and then you can tap 1 red if you control a mountain or a plains. This color combination has seen a lot more play in recent years, so don't expect too much of a drop on this one in the future. It's probably going to hold in there better than a lot of players expect, but that's okay. It's the #1 card this week. Now, for any of my regular viewers out there, you're probably as shocked as I am at these incredibly low sales numbers that we just saw for this top 10. In comparison, this is the lowest top 10 video I have ever done in the last couple of years. It's crazy how low this is. Now, there are several market factors to consider about why these sales are low. If we take a look at how well the pre-orders are for Final Fantasy, Tarkir Dragonstorm, even Spider-Man, that's a lot of money being sucked into the void of the market, waiting for the set to release, which means players who may have had $500 sitting around, said, I want to buy some Magic cards, they go and buy one of these boxes, they're now tapped out. They know they're tapped out, and they're not willing to overspend. They're saying, you know what, I don't have to have XYZ cards right now. I want to wait and see when these sets get closer before I start spending any more money. That's one way of looking at this market. The second part is the uncertainty in today's market. With all the tariffs and trade war stuff going on around the world, we have a lot of players who might just be keeping their powder dry, saying, I'm not diving into anything. I could be losing my job. I've got bills to pay. There are birthdays coming up, whatever it may be. Their attentions may be elsewhere other than their hobby. They may love it, but it's still a hobby. It doesn't take the forefront of everything you do for a lot of people, so it takes a back burner seat and has to wait till things clear up, till the person with the control of that money starts feeling more comfortable and safe to get on spending. Crazy stuff, but it happens all the time. The other thing we can look at is the fact that players are just tapped out. They're just burned out. They don't want to think about it right now, and they're not looking at expanding their collections in the hobby, and they're saying, you know what, I don't want anything to do with it right now. I'm just going to sit and enjoy the decks I have, go to some Friday Night Magic, go play some Commander games, play some Standard, Modern, Pauper, Brawl, whatever floats your fancy, man. Whatever's awesome for you, you're going to go and enjoy it. You're not going to spend money doing it because you've already spent enough right now. Makes sense as well. But either way, your local LGS, big platforms like TCG Player, Card Market, Card Kingdom, they are already probably aware that the sales are lower. They don't need a video like mine to tell them this, but you guys out there may have been unaware of just how low some of these sales numbers are, and it's good to bring these things along because it shows how uncertain the market can be and how several key things going on in the world can affect the factors of those sales. It's crazy, but it happens every day. Now, I want to thank you guys for stopping by. I hope you guys enjoyed today's content. Now, tomorrow, we've got to talk about the reserve list because that's an entirely different segment of the market, a more niche market. But at the same time, there's been some crazy stuff going on. I'm looking forward to discussing that with you all tomorrow. We got some new numbers to go over. I'm still waiting for a few emails, but I should have it by tomorrow, and I'll put that video together for Sunday, and we will discuss it on the the live stream, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. I hope you guys can stop by the channel. Either way, thanks again as well to all the new patrons, as well as my regular patrons who support this channel. New patrons coming in, long-time patrons supporting me each and every month, and the new viewers who are dropping some awesome comments, and of course those emails. Epic. I'm glad you guys are having fun on my channel. I look forward to seeing you guys all tomorrow. Thank you again. And you know what? It's always great to be here in the world of Magic. Good, bad, ugly. It's still an exciting game. And I get to do this journey with you guys. Can't thank you enough. Have a great one, guys. From the Disney Dad, I'll see you guys soon. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you. Got some amazing patrons here on the channel supporting us each and every day. We've got epic people on my YouTube membership members. And of course, we got the regular viewers every day making sure these videos get thumbs up to get that algorithm out to the rest of YouTube. It's amazing to be here. Thanks again for supporting. And of course, to all these patrons and YouTube membership members, if it wasn't for you, we just wouldn't be doing this. So thank you again for being supporters and allowing me to be here on YouTube sharing this information with you. Have a great one. What do you think just happened? Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. What do you think happened? That took a quarter of the time to count that up. I saved hours. I got to go hang out and chill out with the family a bit. It was unbelievable how low some of these numbers were. Now, there's lots of cards, by the way, still selling, but there's no mass market card dominating the market right now, which is surprising, considering how many options people have, which either means they built all the combos they needed or wanted or desired, or the combos that are available, they just don't care enough about to bother buying. Either way, lowest numbers I've ever counted, as far as I can tell. Insane stuff. But I am looking forward to Tarkir, because I think things are going to turn around, and they're going to turn around hard. It's just going to take another week. Another week. Guys, see you soon. Ramble Jamble!